Today is August the 2nd. Can even good things lose their meaning? Let's find out together as we study Jesus' teaching. So near the end of his ministry, we're in Matthew chapter 23. Jesus addressed the issue of the Pharisees that were so prominent. Matthew chapter 23, verse 1, Jesus said to the crowds, to his disciples, "The teachers of religious law and the Pharisees are the official interpreters of the law of Moses. Practice and obey whatever they tell you, but don't follow their example. They don't practice what they teach. They crush people with unbearable religious demands and never lift a finger to ease the burden. Everything they do is for show. On their arms, they wear extra wide prayer boxes with scripture verses inside. They wear robes with extra long tassels. They love to sit at the head table at banquets and in the seats of honor in the synagogues. They love to receive respectful greetings as they walk in the marketplaces. And they love to be called rabbi. Don't let anyone call you rabbi. For you only have one teacher. All of you are equal as brothers and sisters. Don't address anyone here on earth as Father. Only God in heaven is your spiritual father. Don't let anyone call you teacher, for you only have one teacher, the Messiah. The greatest among you must be a servant, but those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." Now Jesus addresses the religious leaders of the day, and specifically the Pharisees. He says of the Pharisees, they interpret the law of Moses, so pay attention to what they say, but don't do what they do. He says they love to wear extra large phylacteries. New Living Translation calls it a prayer box. A phylactery was a box that Pharisees and other devout Jews would tie one to their wrist, one on their forehead. The reason for doing this is because they have interpreted part of Scripture to say that they should wear these boxes. Inside the box, they would write 4 passages of Scripture. Those passages are Exodus 13, 1 through 10, because if you read Exodus 13, 1 to 10, it's the story of dedicating the firstborn. But in verse 9, Moses says, "This annual festival will be a visible sign to you, like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead." The second passage was Exodus 13, 11 to 16. Again, it's about the first Passover and how they were to celebrate that Passover. But in verse 16, this ceremony will be like a mark branded on your hand or your forehead. It's a reminder that the power of the Lord's mighty hand brought us out of Egypt. The third passage that they would write and put in those prayer boxes, Deuteronomy 6, 4 to 9, because in verse 8, Moses says, "Tie these commandments to your hands and wear them on your forehead as reminders." The fourth scripture passage that they wrote on parchment and put inside their phylacteries is Deuteronomy 11:13-21, because in verse 18, Moses says, "Commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these words of mine. Tie them to your hands, wear them on your forehead as reminders. Teach them to your children. Talk about them when you're at home, when you're on the road, when you're going to bed, when you're getting up." All of these passages refer to what the Pharisees interpreted literally. Tying these words inside a leather pouch, wrapping them on your arm, on your wrist, wrapping them on your forehead. Now, the second thing that Jesus says is that they wear robes with extra long tassels. In Numbers 15, verses 37-41, listen to what we read there. Moses says, "Give the following instructions to the people of Israel. Throughout the generations to come, you must make tassels for the hems of your clothing and attach them with the blue cord. When you see the tassels, you will remember and obey all the commands of the Lord, instead of following your own desires and defiling yourselves as you're prone to do." The phylacteries, the tassels, were physical reminders of God's commandments. Now, remembering God's commandments are not a bad thing to do. It's a very good thing to do. The point is, they had lost their meaning. They were a show for the Pharisees. Jesus goes on in this passage and says that they love titles, they love prominence, they love to be recognized, they love to be in first place at the synagogue, at meals. So Jesus goes on and he says, don't let anybody call you rabbi. Don't let anyone call you father. Don't let anyone even call you teacher. Because whoever wants to exalt themselves will be humbled. And those who humble themselves will be exalted. Now that is the real lesson Jesus wanted to get to. Good things can lose their meaning, especially when we do good things simply out of habit. It's what we've always done, so we keep doing it. Today we don't wear phylacteries, we don't have tassels on our clothes, unless you're a cowboy. Today, nevertheless, we could also go through the motion. Even a simple thing like going to church, we can do simply because we've always done it, not because it holds any meaning for us. So today, I want to encourage you, the things that you do to show that you love the Lord, make sure that you do them because they are important to you. Make sure that they haven't lost their meaning. Please like, follow, and subscribe to this devotional on whatever instrument you use to listen to it. Email your questions to us at questions@becomehope.com. Tomorrow, we'll answer the question, do we really have to obey all of this?